Sip that drink.
Welcome back to another Buddies, Booze, Banters, Unfiltered Conversations. I am Rick.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Alex.
Welcome back, Alex, from Vegas. A little quick trip that you had.
Thanks. I really appreciate it.
I mean, all I got was the photographs of wine and food.
Got more than I got.
Well, that was because we were at the game when I messaged him. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just like, I'll get you back. I'll get back to you. So it looked like he was having some good time. That's for sure.
Of course, he keeps going back.
Yeah, I just keep going back. I go back again Thursday for the continuation of March Madness, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Cool. Where are you staying?
I am staying at the Mirage.
Oh, I've stayed there before, yeah.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm staying at the Mirage on purpose. It's one last time before it turns into Planet Hollywood.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or not Planet Hollywood, Hard Rock. So it's going to be Hard Rock. It's already owned by Hard Rock. They've already moved everything to Hard Rock.
So
but they're
MGM used to own it, right?
Yeah, and then it's going to be, it's a Hard Rock now.
Wow.
Nice.
I did not.
So we're staying there for free because it's Hard Rock. We already have status for Hard Rock.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yep.
Oh, definitely. Free is good. Mm-hmm. That we can spend
Especially
more
in
money on
Vegas.
gambling.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That's for sure. Well, definitely we'll be speaking about some March Madness as well later on the podcast. Michael's got some information about that. So, but I want to kind of start off something that kind of popped up and finalized, or a deal that happened on Friday of this last week. And that was I'm not sure exactly the name of the actual company it merged with, but Truth Social, which happens to be oxymoron to say it's truth, but it's definitely the brainchild of Donald J. Trump in regards to thinking that he can actually put a social media platform, blogging, vlogging, whatever you want to call it out there, to compete with everybody, and so he can actually just have his voice out there as much as possible. Well, it's obviously there was a publicly owned company, which is more of a shell company. Mm-hmm. And the board, has finally obviously approved the merger of that, and thus this coming Monday, it will be actually be trading on the stock market.
It's Digital World Accusation Corp.
Well, that was the original public one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the obviously this is the interesting thing about the ticker. I guess initials or acronym when you want to put on the actual stock market is going to be DJT, which of course is Donald J. Trump. And I like to obviously point out there that was the exact same initials that they actually utilized when it was actually the Trump's Hotels and Casino Resorts, which obviously filed for bankruptcy.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, so let's see if it goes down the same path. Usually anything like this, especially publicly owned, usually goes down the path of bankruptcy with it. That's for sure.
The one thing, I've heard this or whatever, and I'm hearing values of like $3 billion.
Yeah.
I grew up being a good business person or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and I
usually common sense
and think that I have a good business sense. I have a hard time, and again, I'm not a big social media which you know I'm not, mm-hmm. but I just don't get how this could be valued at $3 billion.
Well, it's being propped up
because.
Sorry, that's how they all start, though, isn't
Well,
it?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
no.
but
you obviously have to have an expected increase in revenue over a projected period of time, and then anticipate that continue on. Just because Michael, you said you're not social media,
yeah.
type of person. Obviously, I have a little bit more delve into that area there, and I got some numbers.
I know because you've helped me on social media.
It's
good or bad,
and just to do an apples to apples comparison, which really isn't apples to apples. We'll kind of like utilize the other crazy asshole out there, and that's Elon.
Mm-hmm.
When he bought Twitter, Twitter has something like on a daily basis, I think like almost a 500 million users of some or interactions of some sort, tweets, and people are on there, follows and new accounts and stuff like that. Obviously, he bought that, I guess, almost a year and a half ago for about $44 billion. So obviously that was also
It was the platform.
It was for that type of style. Absolutely,
Yes.
There's no doubt about it. And it was overpriced then. Is what he put actually a premium price on there, so it's
Right.
already overpriced. And of course, since he's actually gotten on as an owner of it, it's obviously you've seen the revenues drop 44%, all the advertisers that he scares off and things of that sort, as well as some of the users, because that's why Microsoft decided they're going to come out. I'm sorry, Apple decided we're going to come out with Threads. Actually, it was Microsoft or Meta.
It's Meta.
So, and they've actually, they've increased to 120, 140, 150 million users already. So I don't know what, and their projected income is already going to surpass Twitter. But I think that to utilize, and again, Facebook versus Donald J. Trump is obviously a big variable, because obviously you look at, Donald J. Trump, and he's probably not worth even $500 million. Mm-hmm. And then of course you look at Meta, and it's worth about
he's supposed to pay $500 million. I mean, put in escrow or whatever on Monday. We'll see.
Yeah, that's another story in of itself. That's for sure. The thing about it is, with Truth Social, it approximately has about 2 million users at the moment. 2 million. So, I mean, if you really want to extrapolate that in regards to, how many each of those users are valued based upon a $3.5 to $4 billion stock market IPO of sorts, it's kind of interesting. But that's okay. That's just fine. That's okay.
But both, I'm sure at least a half to 3/4 of that million or whatever is there just to see Trump and what he's got to say.
Well, it's definitely probably 3/4 of individuals who are his supporters, allies, and the remaining 25% are probably media, just to see what what he's saying, because obviously there's a whole process of getting an invite and what you have to sign up for and what have you. I don't have one, I've just read upon it, but that's the interesting thing about it is, and this is, being a former business person myself, is when I went out to buy businesses, you did an equation based upon cash flow, based upon revenue, based upon net and gross income.
Mm-hmm.
So, last year, we don't have the most recent because it wasn't publicly at the time, but the first 9 months of last year, they just did $3.4 million. That's what they actually collected in revenue, $3.4 million, and they obviously had a huge loss because they lost $49 million out of that 3.5, and that was there was 37.7 million that was just in interest expenses alone, which I don't understand that one. So if a company is losing that amount of money, there's no way it's worth $3 to $4 billion. Anybody with any sort of numbers, common sense, anybody who can do 1 plus fucking 1 knows that this is a scam, and basically is being propped up by all his allies. It's not like they have all the minions that he actually has out there, the millions and millions of followers and supporters of the MAGA cult. These are just high-end dollar people who are actually kind of gauging where his presidency opportunities for elections going. That's who's propping it up.
Yeah.
That's it. And then when it comes down to it, and again, we know he doesn't have money, but he's going to own 58% of it. So anything and everything that he wants to do with it. So he now has a vehicle for actually disseminating out horrible information, falsehoods, and things of that sort. Which that was, the value of it aside, just being able to have it as a presidential candidate, having a publicly traded company that you are chairman of, and he is the chairman of it. He's not on the board, but he's in the chair of some sort of the company. I know it's
reinforced chair.
Yeah, I mean, so just the inner wind of it, but actually having a vehicle where he can use for propaganda is my biggest concern.
Oh, but he's been doing that from the very beginning, so that's nothing new.
Well, he's utilized other people's certain platforms in the presidential side.
Well, yeah, I get it, but the one thing I just don't get the value out of it, because it's just
it's fake. It's fake.
Well, I get that, but Trump is the only one basically anybody would go to social media for. Nobody else would. And it's okay, you're going to pay all this money. And then I could see, and if that's the case, then he snowballs everybody. He gets his money out. And then the value will there'll be no value there because Trump will get out.
A couple things to actually kind of tag along on that. Now, there is a requirement of a 6-month not able to sell any stocks. Now, the caveat there is all the allies that he's put on the board have the opportunity to waive that rule.
And they will.
And so with him having 58, percent shares, I mean, you're going to probably anticipate that's at least $1.5 billion. And I would probably say, yeah, he's going to kind of, cash out real quick.
Yes.
And he's going to do it in
And
hopes.
if you're the other ones that have stock, you better cash out very quickly
Well,
then, because you're going to lose.
I don't think that he's initially going to cash out, even if he had the waiver right away. I think what he's going to hope for is that the IPO goes to the roof, and then his 1.5 billion is just a drop in the bucket. The sad thing about it is, as soon as the merger happened, the actual publicly traded company it merged with already dropped 10%. And that was like minutes after the merger was approved by the board. So, I mean, that in itself is not a very good sign.
Right.
And as he continues to, have money issues, as you said, he has this, 460 million fine or bond that he's got to put up for his fraud trial that he had in New York. That he also, basically his lawyers came out last week and said, he doesn't have the money.
But then Trump came out on Thursday or Friday saying,
well,
I've got about 400 million.
Well, first they came out and said, can you reduce the bond to 100 million?
Yes.
And the judge says absolutely not. No, it's the 460 or whatever it was with the interest and all that, or nothing, or they can start seizing your assets. Then he comes out, of course, on Thursday. I actually do have the money. So again, the guy's a liar. We know that he's born a liar, always been a liar, always does a lie.
But Monday's the deadline.
That is correct. Now, how fast she worked on it. But the interesting thing that what him saying that he has the money was probably the stupidest mistake he ever said, because if he actually has the money,
they're not going to reduce anything.
No, all she has to do is find that bank account. And then he no longer has that cash, because what she's going to do, she's going to go after cash first, because the real estate at some point, based upon you look at 40 Plaza or whatever it is in New York, which is just a couple down from the attorney's office, it needs massive amounts, hundreds of millions of dollars of repairs.
Yes,
so it's not even been kept up. So, the value of it, what it was at one point, is probably not what it is now. So it's going to be pennies on the dollar. So there will be a fire sale if she ended up something like that. And she probably still wouldn't get that 460 million. So she's going to try to find, and I guarantee you her office has been working diligently in trying to find that cash. There's no doubt about it. She's a smart woman. She's dug up every skeleton that he has in regards to the different bank accounts.
And they have somebody from the court in the company, right?
Well, they actually have a judge. The actual appeals judge who actually ruled in the case put a retired judge in as a monitor. And last week they actually upped the ability of that monitor to do even more, control even more. So yeah, they're pretty much got their hands tied behind their backs on everything. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tomorrow, though. I am curious, and so our next, podcast now would be able to talk about that.
Yeah, but to end this one is, I still just don't see where this value comes from.
It's not there. He made it up.
What
I don't know is why the SEC hasn't said something right away, and hopefully they will. Maybe they'll come to that realization, saying it is a fucking scam, and it is.
There has been some people that done IPOs, and it is busted or whatever.
Absolutely. And they immediately pulled it back, because I think there's a time frame that they can actually pull back as well, I think in the first week or so. And if it's actually just belling it out, based upon what their anticipated value is, and
but
he won't do that.
But like I said, all this is just Trump talking, and people are following that. Is if Trump goes, what's left there?
Yeah, well, it's middle of the night ranting of his part.
Because it's like, why would you do that when, it's it used to be Twitter, now it's X.
Yeah, well.
And X has supposedly been around a lot longer and run a little bit better.
Yeah, I think it was 2002, 2006 or something
so
like that.
Why would, so I just.
Actually it wasn't ran very well. Even before Elon owned it. Now it's running even worse.
Well, yeah, but it had been around for a good while. It's had a lot of followers and users for a long time.
Well, they actually had the processes and checks and balances and regulations of making sure no lies and falsehoods and all that other stuff is actually put out there. But now Truth Social is quite the opposite.
Right.
It's all this propaganda. It's all BS. There's really no checks and balances. Basically it's just like whatever Trump wants to say, and it's going to stay that way even as a publicly owned company because he has 58%.
But if Trump can talk all these people into buying all of that stock at a premium price,
well,
go for it or whatever. But just like you're going to get shafted at the end.
Well, first of all, they haven't bought any stock. Yet, the individuals who are already invested in already got a share for share.
Right.
So they've already put their money in. They didn't put anything like $4 billion in. They put a whole hell of a lot less in. So let's keep that in mind. So they got a share for a share, even though the company is already losing money. So don't anticipate that. I mean, it's all about those regular people is what he wants now. He wants those common MAGA cult members to buy into it now.
It's like Truth Social is like a 16th seed, and they're playing a number 1 seed, and they're trying to pull off the biggest upset ever. And it's only happened twice in the NCAA.
Well, I mean,
so I guess it can happen a third time.
Or another analogy, he is rolling the dice. He is hoping that this, in fact, does take off, that his supporters that he thinks that he still has out there, which he does have support out there, but they don't have any damn money. Mm-hmm. You know, first of all, the $50 or $60 or $100 that they've actually had in their pocket, they already sent to him to pay for his legal bills. So, but anyhow, we can definitely see what happens when it does kick off and starts trading tomorrow under the cursed initials of DJT. So that'll be kind of interesting to see what happens there. But well, I want to kind of move on to a different subject here, Mike, because we want to kind of make sure that we keep it to our designated time that we've talked about.
This will be a first. We'll see.
Let's hope.
Did you guys have a meeting offline that I don't know about?
I was telling them
something in the hallway.
I said they're too long.
Well, I understand. I actually had to review these last episodes. I'm just like, damn. I mean, besides sitting through them and talking through them, then I've got to review them for another hour or two. So I mean, I got to eliminate some of that time there, but I did promise you last week that I was going to come back with some stats specifically on daylight savings, and I know that you basically said I don't have a problem with it. It doesn't bother me, Well, I didn't want to just basically go out there.
You wanted to prove me wrong, so go ahead.
I didn't want to prove you wrong.
You wanted to prove me wrong, so just talk about your points.
I wanted to get the psychology behind it, really how it affects us. As physically and mentally versus just simply saying that a bunch of people hate it. I will say that, based upon the psychology, about 75% of the people actually don't want it. And actually 69% of the people actually have some sort of cognizant impact based upon it. Now, the interesting thing about
they go to the bathroom an hour later or an hour earlier.
No.
So what?
On the average, they're losing 19 minutes of sleep as soon as it happens. And over a period of time, that does actually increase. So, and what it actually has proven in multiple studies, that it's confirmed that increased physical injuries, car collisions, heart attacks, strokes, miscarriages, and depression.
Wow.
Studies have found that 24% increase in the risk of having a heart attack the day after moving the clocks forward, and a 5 to 15% increase in the risk of having a heart attack in the week after shifting daylight savings back. Now the thing that what
do these people have to do? I mean, how are they coming up with this?
Well, this is psychology. This is psychologists who've actually done the study. And again,
Shrinks.
this isn't something that's just happened. This has been going on for years. They've been studying it because that's why people have been talking about changing it and getting rid of it. But again, I mean, it's all about stress and aggravation. First of all, now the thing that I learned, is about that are bodily clocks, as they call it, in the brain that synchronizes itself daily to the changing duration of light and dark, giving us the Carathian rhythm, circadian rhythm, mm-hmm. from the Latin word circumdize, whatever.
Circumcise?
Approximately one day. Changing life's mechanical clocks wreaks havoc with the biological timekeepers in the brain. So basically, the nerve endings and all that shit that's in your brain is really what's kind of being screwed up.
But nowadays with clocks, the newer clocks, they automatically change. You don't even know the time changed.
Well, of course they do because that's built in. But I mean,
I think what Rick is saying is like your body doesn't change.
Your body's not like the computer or your iPhone.
Right. It takes it a long time, and because of that
that's got a brain, but
it's
it
putting a
doesn't
lot of
actually have
stress
nerves.
on your brain.
You could always
people are getting
plan.
depressed.
And it gets you physically strained too.
Oh my God.
Again, according to the University of Chicago poll, 75% of Americans would prefer to end the practice of switching clocks twice a year. After changing to daylight savings, the American Academy of Sleep Medicine found that nearly 60% of American adults feel drained and inefficient for a week or so. I mean, think about the amount of productivity. Now, this is a dominoes effect. Then there's productivity in regards to work.
It's 1 hour.
No way.
People get over
By
it.
Thursday that week, I was whipped.
Yeah. I mean,
oh please! It's only 1 hour.
No, it's 5
Get
hours.
over it. No, it's
it
1
adds up.
hour.
It adds up.
No, we're talking 1 hour. It changes 1 hour at one time. Get over it, people.
Well, 75% of people don't believe in what you're saying.
Well,
75% of the people want to get rid of it. So you're in that very small minority of 25%.
Then let them change it, but they're not. They haven't changed it yet.
But the interesting thing that I actually learned this, because I talked about.
You learned something?
I did, because I said, hey, daylight savings, we move forward. Let's keep it at this time. And that's exactly what the Marco Rubio bill and a couple other senators actually put into doing that in Congress. Bottom line is, like, that's the wrong way to do it. You need to make sure that you're keeping it back. So they're mistakenly based their preferences on economics. They're all talking about money. They're not talking about the body being deprived of whatever it is. They imagine an extra hour, and this is the kicker, because we talked about this kind of like with the retirement thing on the last podcast. Mm-hmm. They imagine an extra hour of evening sunlight year round would be good for business.
Well, it would.
So they're looking out for money.
Well, of course.
I don't know if you weigh the differences of, like, okay, you say this hour extra they're going to get for daylight. Well, they're losing this 19 minutes here and here and here, and it all adds up. So it's a negative. It eventually becomes a negative. Bottom line is science.
There's no right or wrong answer on this one.
Well, there is a right answer. If you actually want to be healthy and you don't want to have risk of heart attacks and strokes and car collisions, I mean, I can tell you right now, when I was much younger,
there are car collisions going on right now.
Well, that's because people don't know how to drive. But I mean, now we're going to add to it because people are falling asleep at the wheel.
Then they shouldn't be driving.
How about you got a school bus driver who's going to fall asleep? I mean, there are just so many domino ramifications in regards to this. And again, there's no real reason for it. So my question to you is, like, what do you think besides your extra hour or not being too dark at night? What's the point? What is you sell me on the point of why we should keep it?
Well, let me put it this way. I don't see the big problem because you lose an hour one night or whatever, and you should be able to get through with it. But then it's like, if you decide to end it, do you end it on standard time?
Yeah, standards. But they're saying that you should do it on standard time.
Well, standard time is meaning then during the summer we're going to have an hour less of sunshine.
Correct.
But you're going to have.
But you're going to have more people healthy.
But you're going to have half the people saying it should be standard.
No, it's actually 25%.
25 went on standard.
No, I mean you're gonna have all.
And then
you're
you
gonna
got
have
daylight.
You're gonna have everybody in Congress who says they should be on the actual saving more light versus the actual psychology and the actual physical attributes of the body. Science tells you what you should do. Unfortunately, Congress is going to tell you what they want the business to do.
But it's just like, you could say, is the science one way or the other? But then it's like, okay.
No, science is pretty much straight one way.
Well, but there is variables in the factors there, and so you could say it
when
one
another
way
person
or another.
dies.
But if you did it one way or the other, and it stays that way forever, then then everybody gets used to it. So it's like, you go to one way or another right now. It's a change for everybody because we've been doing the change.
Okay, so I'm going to say this real quick, and this is based upon change
the time clock.
Changing it forward or backward. You're saying doesn't merely make a difference, But daylight savings doesn't increase the amount of daylight. That would physically be impossible.
No, I get that.
No, that would be physically impossible unless we can stop the rotation of the Earth.
No, I get that.
It's merely time shifts. So it basically moves the light an hour difference. It doesn't give you an extra hour.
What you're going to have is
You're still going to get up early.
So then let's go to just standard time. So it's like, as of right now, it's 6:43 right now. Mm-hmm. So it would be 7:43.
Correct.
So that means during the summer, we're going to have less sun out, and you're going to have everybody complaining, I don't like this. I like it when we had so much time to go out and do
maybe
stuff.
the neurons in their brains will make them more happier that they're actually not stressed out or lack of sleep.
No, they're going to be stressed out because it's like, okay, it's dark or whatever.
I don't know about that.
But then, so it's like I said, I
like the fact that you're speaking for everybody, though.
Well, I am, because it's just like, this is stupid.
No, actually, it's not stupid.
I see the point. I can see it on everybody's side or whatever, but there's no one right or wrong answer. You could quote all the statistics you wanted to
This isn't statistics. This is science facts.
I could get different scientists to say something different if I wanted
absolutely,
to.
you can do that.
But
But it doesn't mean you're like smart or wackos.
I'm just saying, logically, it's just like, it's a change no matter what we do. And it's like, no matter if we went to standard or we went to daylight and never changed again or whatever, you're going to get people that are still going to complain.
Okay.
Because one way it's like,
I don't think that's the argument.
If you go to standard and stay that way, then during the summer months, people are going to complain because we wish we had this summer light or whatever. If we go to the daylight, then you're going to have people complain.
I thought we had this on a timer.
I know, you're the one that kind of did it, and then you're gonna have people complain it stays dark.
No, I just simply stated the facts. I mean, the bottom line is this is scientific studies done. And this particular information this is multiple studies have been done. And obviously the professor of neurology is actually one of the professors who've actually been involved in this. And you know what? I mean, they've gone through the education, they've gone through the study of the anatomy of the body and things of that sort. They've done these actual trial tests, whatever it may be. I'm going to believe them more so than I'm going to believe you.
Listen, people. Followers, it doesn't matter. Get over it. It's not a big deal.
People, it does matter. So, I mean, I will suggest you go out there, do your own research, and look at the science information that specifically says that it affects your body. I mean, I thought it was very interesting. I thought I was going to come back and argue just simply stupid stuff.
And
I'm arguing you science facts.
I think it affects your body, plain and simple.
I'm not saying it does, but you
a negative impact.
I think it's a negative impact. I think by the end of the first week,
I don't
drained.
think you do. I don't think you get
He just doesn't want to admit it. He's tired after the end of the first week. I already know it. Everybody is.
But then
after
it's just
the first day.
But it's like when you get that extra hour of sleep.
You don't get an extra hour of sleep. You're just shifting things. Again, it's like you're not actually getting an extra daylight. You're just shifting things.
You're not actually gifting or getting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I understand that's a great way of selling it, and that's what we've done for years.
I'm just saying.
I even said that before. You're getting an extra hour of sleep. No, you're not. You're definitely not. And let me just tell you something. The interesting thing about it is
my clock tells me I'm getting an extra hour.
From a business perspective, it also screws some companies when you actually go backwards. So it basically you end up. So let's say that I've had some employees.
Then they need to do better advertising.
No, well, I've had some employees who worked overnight. Okay, and they get an extra hour even though they've worked less. So because when they pull it back, and even though they're supposed, let's say they get off at 7 o'clock, and now they're really getting off at 6 o'clock, which is the original time. See what I'm saying? So, anyways, that actually affects business. So I mean, again, I expected to do bullshit.
You're entitled to your opinion.
It's not an opinion. I actually had an opinion just saying you're making shit up, but I didn't make this shit up.
I'm not making shit up.
Well, you're using your opinion.
I know.
I'm not using my opinion. I'm using facts.
Oh God.
So anyhow, but let's move on to something just a little bit more serious, but also kind of like I want to kind of admonish a lot of people out there, not just only some of the press, but also a lot of those people are out on social media, and it was quite disappointing in regards to some of the reactions going on out there. Now, I'm going to preface this with a couple of things. I'm an monarchist. I'm an individual who believes in the royal family. I have believed in it. Mm-hmm. As a dual citizen, I mean, I love the royal family. I love the Queen. I loved her when she was alive. Not so fond of Charles, and I'm definitely not fond of William. But I mean, bottom line is Charles is going through some health issues, and apparently, the Princess of Wales has also been going through some health issues. Mm-hmm. And prior to this last weekend, we weren't aware of how much she was going through. And she announced that she has cancer. She hasn't told us what type of cancer, and also she says early stages of cancer. What I really want to talk about is we definitely want to give them the privy. And let them actually get through this, But what's kind of disappointing is how everybody jumped on the bandwagon in such a quickness, of the conspiracy theories, and she's dead, or she's in a coma, or she's in a mental institution because of William actually having the affair with Rose, who looks like a horse and all. I mean,
did he have an affair?
Does she look like a horse?
Oh yeah, well yeah. I mean, we thought Camilla looked like a horse. She looks like more horse, even more so. And apparently she's married to a 60-something-year-old guy, and she's like, yeah, that's saying like a convenience of a marriage there. But again, I mean that Rose was having a baby of Williams, and they were going to divorce. So they were really just throwing anything and everything against the wall, and social media was just absolutely blowing up on it, and mainstream media also picked up on it to a bit. Mm-hmm. Very disappointing.
Because when you're a public figure, like that.
Yes, I get that.
And
Yeah.
they did try to manipulate the situation a little.
Oh,
Because they
no.
did do a
the comms,
picture.
The comms department of the royal family fucked it up.
Yes.
I mean, from the get-go, they should have been in front of this, and they should have realized this. You know, and the reason I say that is they're very good about being out in front and making sure they smear Meghan and Harry as much as they possibly can. You know, so if you look at, you know, the British press in particular, British press is probably one of the most paparazzi, scandalous, digging dirt up type news organizations that try to tout themselves as actually professional journalism. They're the worst. They're worse than, you know, Page 6, you know, of New York. And yet they actually have this agreement with the royal family, with the institution, that they keep certain things secret. They don't talk about certain things. That's why most of the actual media in the UK were not talking about this. So you had media all over Europe who were talking about it. You know, so I mean, you know, Spain was the first one came out and said that she was in a coma and things of that sort. But that media in Britain has a team, multiple teams on the ground in California, digging up everything they possibly can, even through probably the trash of Meghan and Harry, just so they can actually make sure that they don't get any good press. And because, again, America apparently loves Harry and Meghan, and they do.
Do we?
They do. I mean, the majority do.
Okay.
You know,
I'm not a big royal
Yeah.
follower and all that stuff, so I'm not sure that's why I'm
you know,
asking.
so the negativity of the stories that are put out there constantly, especially in the British tabloids, are really an attempt to dissuade the British people to look at them positively and look at the rest of the royal family positively. You know, and that basically covers up their scandals, and they have plenty. Trust me, they have plenty. You know, I mean, Andrew and now William and his affair, and he's really fallen in his father's footsteps. You know, marry a beautiful young woman, have children, and all of a sudden has a side piece. Exactly what Charles did. You know, obviously the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
That's true.
You know, but I mean, besides that, let's give them the privy that they need. You know, I mean, let her heal.
Well, and I get that now, but before that, they just ignored the situation.
Well, that is, you know,
And I get it. A normal person, if you're going through all this stuff and having cancer, you want your privacy. I get all that stuff.
well, I will say this about, you know,
But when you're a public figure, it's a different
yeah,
story.
but Queen Elizabeth set that standard. She basically refused to actually comment on any stories, any rumors, any suggestion of impropriety.
But she was old school, where there
Absolutely.
was no
and there
media and very
there
little
wasn't the
media and all this stuff.
communication.
Yeah,
There wasn't the social media. You know, everybody is a journalist on TikTok. Everybody's a journalist on Instagram and on lives and reels and things of that sort. So I mean, and that's where I really felt
Because
I actually felt bad for the Prince of Wales and Princess of Wales, and especially I felt bad for the kids. You know, I mean, the fact of the matter is they needed the time, and they were stressed out and trying to figure out how they can actually approach the three children to say, "Mommy's not going to die."
No,
so.
it's like I mean, like I said, I totally get that, and I understand that. But then you try to manipulate it one way, and we're in the
absolutely.
we're in the world now where social media is just all over
Controlling.
the world.
It's very
Whether
controlling.
it's true or not, it's out there and it's sparking out everything or whatever. You cannot play the games like you used to on silence.
You definitely can't. There's no doubt about it. And you know, my take on that, and there are a lot of individuals who are on these social media platforms that are now coming out and apologizing on both sides of the pond, and I'm happy to see that they're actually apologizing. But there's also a lot of people out there saying, "Well, I told you there was something more to it." It's like, you know, you can't cover your ignorance. You can't cover how nasty you were about in these conspiracy theories. You know, and again, no matter how you feel about, you know, that couple, and no matter how you feel about what William has done, you know, and even with Charles, I mean, the
but
fact
now
of the
you
matter
got
is,
two people going through cancer in there.
absolutely, you know, and you know, I don't want to even speculate as to what degree of the cancer is, what stages of it is, specifically with Charles, because I obviously have my thought processes, but I mean,
Because
I'm not
with him being the king, they're going to keep that as quiet as possible for
Well,
as long as they can.
But him coming out actually saying he had cancer was the first time that was actually done in the history of the Windsor family. So you've got to commend him. At least he gave them the heads up.
Yeah, but now there people are going to speculate every single thing is how bad
Well, they've already
it is
been
and everything
they've already been
else. I know.
speculating because I mean he hasn't been doing as many of the duties as he said he was going to do, and I know the Queen as well as William starting to step up again in regards to those particular
The
appeals.
Queen?
Yeah, she's called the Queen.
You're kidding.
No, she's called Queen Camilla. She's not the Queen Consort. She's the Queen Camilla.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Before
She looks more like a horse.
Just be glad we don't have to call Rick King Rick or something. King of this table. King of us.
He plays the role of king.
I would be okay with Duke.
With Duke.
Or Lord. I would be go right with those.
God.
I like Duke better.
No, but see, Lord has more power. House of Lords. They actually set the standards of laws and stuff.
And then it goes when he
Just
talks
call him
about the Bible. So when he talks about the Bible, we'll just call him Lord Rick.
Yeah, there you go. Well, anyways, that was my only point about the royal family. Is like, let's leave them alone. Let them heal and get through this next couple of months, and hopefully her chemo goes well, and she'll be back on the stage taking care of her presentations and her whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
we do wish the best for her.
Absolutely,
But
and everybody who's out there.
Stop playing games.
And everybody, the comms department needs to do their goddamn job. First of all, that's their job to protect them, not to protect just the institution. It's about protecting people. These are human individuals. They were. I mean, besides his flaws, William was born into this. He wasn't, something that he chose to get into, and neither are his kids. So, yeah,
you learn more about it if you've ever seen the movie Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Well, not just that. I mean, the Queen too. I mean, the movie, the series, The Queen on Netflix. I mean, you really do understand a little bit more. There's a lot of parodies there, and parallels in regards to that. So, but enough of that. I know, Mike, we've got a couple of minutes left to talk about March Madness.
I was just getting a quick update.
He's like, Mike, we got 2 minutes.
I'm still in last.
Where am I?
Third.
Okay. Now,
it's pretty good.
What we're talking about is March Madness. It's like my family and friends. They do this pool that's from ESPN app or whatever, and you get your own group or whatever that you just put in your brackets for the NCAA. And usually I do extremely well in this. I'm usually in the top 3 every year or whatever, and all this stuff is. For some reason, this year, I'm just right now tied for dead last.
Wow.
I mean, my final 4 teams are still in it, but anything can happen. But so,
I'm going to kind of like probably burst your bubble here a little bit. I know nothing about the brackets.
I know, and he's ahead of me. But I also know why he's ahead of me.
I'm in third.
But
how
did you pick your teams?
I did not even pick them individually. I simply went out there and picked an individual's full bracket and did it as mine. And you can do that.
You can.
You can actually do that through the process of ESPN. I picked President Biden's. So I am running on President Biden's brackets at the moment, and he's put me in third.
He has.
I had been looking for Obama's because I thought he'd probably know a little bit better than even Biden, but I couldn't find his. So I don't know if he's on ESPN or not.
But amazingly, when I looked for the final 4 teams, you and I had picked 3 of the same final 4 teams.
Well, I haven't picked them.
Well, okay, but your picks are. We both have Houston, we both have Tennessee, and we both have North Carolina.
So I mean, on the series, how much longer do we have on the series?
Well, it goes for 2 more weeks because this is the first.
Because there's a lot of games, and we're talking about men and women.
Well, see, you know nothing about very little about sports. You're starting to
no,
learn more.
I'm talking about NCAA. I know nothing about.
No, I know, but I'm just saying this is where it started out 64. Well, it's 68 teams. Now it went to 60. So now we're going to be down to 16 teams.
Yep, the Sweet 16, which started on Thursday.
Which will start on Thursday, and then they'll.
Do they play more than one game or just?
No, they'll
game?
They'll play 2 games.
Okay.
They played 2 games this weekend
against each other.
They'll play 2 games next weekend, and then you'll be in the Final Four, and then the Final Four will be there.
Gotcha.
And then the only difference that we have in the Final Four is you've got UConn, which you picked to win, and I picked Iowa State. I mean, my biggest problem was I went with a lot of the Big 12 teams, and they're just sucking. It's like my team, Texas Tech. That was a 6th seed, and they lost the first round.
Yeah, so my percentage is 82.9% right now.
Wow.
Thank you, President Biden.
Well, Clemson is ahead of Baylor right now with 6 minutes left in the season.
We were just watching that game.
Yeah. It's close. How far?
It's 61 Clemson, 48 Baylor, 6 minutes left in the second half.
I've lost another game.
Well, I have to see if I'm going to lose that one.
So yeah, I just... Like I said, usually on I'm always usually in the top 3, and it's just like this year is just fallen apart for me. But so far, Rick is ahead of me, and we'll see if he stays that way. But it's like he didn't pick his team, so it's like I don't.
What is? Who did I pick there? For Clemson or Baylor?
Is that just the overall?
Yeah,
Is that your picks?
Yeah, that's my overall picks.
Because if you go to your picks, it tells you who you picked. If you pick yours. So that means I need to do his for him.
Whatever. So, I mean, where are my picks? I don't know where they are. Oh,
God, I gotta
see, I did that. I went into my picks. That's my picks.
Oh, you picked Baylor.
Oh, well, shit. Biden, you screwed that one up. Oh, well.
But then you got Arizona for the next game, so you only would lose the one.
So I'll probably still stay in third.
I'm sure you probably will because
You know, the interesting thing about it is the two are ahead of me are women. So, not to say that women can't figure it out, but I mean they're pretty smart on this stuff. That's for sure. So, what else you got on the March Madness, Mike?
like I said, it's like I'm not having a good March Madness this time or whatever. So let's just hope the Mavs and the Stars just keep winning and get a good seed.
And
in the playoffs.
they're away for a couple of weeks, aren't they?
Well, they're not playing. They're playing, but they're not playing here.
Right.
Yeah, I go for 12 days without a game being here in Dallas.
Yeah. Well, last week you went like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, I went to
4 or 5, wasn't it? 4 thing?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Well, I had major FOMO. I was watching the news yesterday. They were covering the Mavs ball.
Yes, I saw.
And they were talking to Mark Cuban, but in the background they had everybody. I mean, everybody was in the background in the lobby of the Anatole Hotel, and I was like, man, that would have been so cool
And
just to be there.
And if I recall, they won all the games I went to. They won.
They did. Yeah, every game, both the Stars and the Mavs.
I know because it's like I went.
This last week, at least.
Yeah, because then I also think even last weekend.
Yeah, that we talked about it in the last podcast.
Yeah, I know. So it's like I think they did their.
I think it's since last Thursday they've been winning. 2 Thursdays ago.
Probably so.
Yeah. So I think we went Thursday as well, or Wednesday last week or something.
I have to look at my sheet. I got it written down.
Well, we didn't quite do 50 minutes today.
Thank God.
You know, we're about 41 minutes, which is the max that I really wanted to keep at 40. So I mean,
Okay.
bottom line is, good stuff, good information, and we look forward to another podcast. But thanks for listening to us today on Buddies, Booze, Banters, Unfiltered Conversations. I am Rick.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Alex.
Talk to you later.
Bye. Where's our music?
Well, he's got it.
This is slow music.
No, this is how we always end it.
No, he's doing the little slow. He missed the button. Yes, he did.
Yeah, you're in last place.